Welcome, everyone, to the packs where dreams come true. Before we start with card number 1, there's one card that feels like the right place to begin. Just like visiting Disneyland in real life, you have to pass under the entrance sign first. So we're starting with Entrance to the Magic before we get through all 150 cards in our journey to Disneyland. Again, here you leave today and enter the world of yesterday, tomorrow, and fantasy. To all who come to this happy place, welcome from Walt Disney. The set is divided into 4 areas: Then and Now, Timeline, Snack Time, and Concept Art. We'll start with card number 1. This is the Disneyland Railroad. Opened July 17th, 1955. The Disneyland Railroad has always been an integral part of the park's identity, conceived of by Walt Disney, who fell in love with trains in his childhood and built his own rideable miniature railway in his backyard. Originally, guests could either board an enclosed passenger car at the Main Street station or a standing cattle car in Frontierland. In 1956, a station was added in Fantasyland. Disneyland Railroad. This should be our now. The trains of the Disneyland Railroad continue to take guests on the Grand Circle tours of the park, now stopping at Main Street, USA, New Orleans Square, Tomorrowland, and Mickey's Toontown. In 2017, the track was modified to accommodate building Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, enabling the Imagineers to accomplish a monumental feat, the railroad's first left-hand turn. Let's head down the street from the railroad, down Main Street, USA. Many of the original Imagineers who built Disneyland came from the Walt Disney Studios. They readily employed their set construction and cinematography skills, including forced perspective. Main Street USA's buildings notably decrease in scale as they rise floor by floor, creating the illusion that the structures are taller than they actually are. One of my favorite attractions, we're going to head over to Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln over at the Opera House. Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln opened July 18th, 1965. Walt Disney's boyhood interest in Abraham Lincoln led to the creation of the Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln for the State of Illinois Pavilion at the 1964 New York World's Fair. It featured the first human audio animatronic, figure that audiences were so impressed by the technology that many believed it was a real human actor performing on stage. Now, Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln and the Main Street Opera House have evolved over the years. The latest iteration showcases one of the most technologically advanced animatronic figures in the world, and an added segment originally created for Epcot's The American Adventure. Two brothers. The president now lends some of the spotlight to Disneyland's newest audio animatronic show, Walt Disney: A Magical Life. All right, we're heading to the Hub. The Hub opened July 17th, 1955. Disneyland employs an archetypical urban planning theory known as the hub and spoke model, inspired by Pierre L'Enfant. Design of Washington, D.C., Main Street leads to a large area that resembles a wagon wheel. From the central area, visitors can easily navigate in any direction to multiple themed lands, then easily find their way back. Now, if we were on the train, we'd be heading into the primeval world, opening July 1st, 1966. Following the Grand Canyon diorama, billed as the world's longest at 306 feet, the Disneyland Railroad next travels back in time to the harsh land of the dinosaurs. The Primeval World section first debuted at the 1964 New York World's Fair. While you now view them from a steam-powered train, the original used actual automobiles as ride vehicles. Talk about fossil fuels. All right, let's head over to Adventureland, to Walt Disney's famous Enchanted Tiki Room. Opening June 23rd, 1963. Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room is recognized as the very first audio animatronic attraction developed. Originally conceived of a restaurant experience, the musical show opened in 1963 and features an enchanted fountain and a cast of 225 animated figures, including birds, flowers, and carvings. If they weren't in the show, they'd be in the audience too. We had right next door the Jungle Cruise. Opening July 17th, 1955. One of Disneyland's most anticipated attractions on opening day was a cruise through the tropical rivers of the world. The colorfully striped, canopied boat was helmed by an expert skipper, giving life travelogue-style narration. Passengers would still pass an elephant bathing pool, dangerous hippos, and a baby rhino bouncing in the tall grass. Jungle Cruise now. The world-famous Jungle Cruise is the Disneyland attraction that has undergone the most significant changes throughout the years. Today, skippers deliver a pun-filled tour past the African Veldt, a boatload of chimps, Trader Sam's gift shop, and of course, the legendary, the one, the only, the eighth wonder of the world, the backside of water. Speaking of that, it is the one, the only, the backside of water. Then, considered by many Jungle Cruise skippers as the eighth wonder of the world, the backside of Schweitzer Falls provides guests with an anticipated viewpoint of the jungle and a light, refreshing spritz. Before the Jungle Cruise story evolved and the character Dr. Albert Falls was introduced as its supposed namesake, Schweitzer Falls was named after the real Dr. Albert Schweitzer. While we're on the Jungle Cruise, don't worry, they have their trunks on. When the Jungle Cruise opened in 1955, seeing so many elephants in one spot was completely unheard of. Imagineers added the bathing elephants later as the attraction began to shift into a comedy. They have now been bathing for so long that they are very wrinkled and need to see a pachydermatologist. Right next door, let's head to the Indiana Jones Adventure. Opening March 4th, 1995. When Indiana Jones Adventure debuted in 1995, it was not only the most technologically advanced attraction of its time, but it also featured one of the most immersive cues. Inside the booby-trapped temple await warnings in the language Marabic, a tenuously supported spike ceiling, an interaction with the famed archaeologist dangling from a rope, and a safety greeting from Sulla. Look not into the eyes of the idol. Set in 1935, Indiana Jones Adventure takes guests on an epic journey into the Temple of the Forbidden Eye to help save the famed archaeologist professor. He was summoned to the temple when some tourists dared to look into the eyes of the idol Mara, which is dangerous, very dangerous, while seeking the promises of riches, eternal youth, and visions of the future. Indiana Jones contains the spirit. As Sulla's troops drives guests through the Temple of the Forbidden Eye to save Indiana Jones, they navigate through traps, downstairs, past snakes, under flying darts, and over a rickety bridge. In a thrilling finale, brave guests narrowly escape the clutches of a giant boulder that is rolling directly toward them. Next time, they're on their own. Over to a ride that no longer exists over in Frontierland, the Stagecoach Ride. Opened in July 17, 1955, and closed September 13, 1959. Starting on opening day, Frontierland offered horse-drawn stagecoach rides for guests. In 1956, they were renamed to the Rainbow Mountain Stagecoaches. Unfortunately, The hard-working horsepower behind, well, and in front of, the stagecoaches didn't care for the loud noises created by the nearby steam engines, and the experience took its last ride. To another yesteryear attraction of Frontierland, let's head to the mine train through nature's wonderland. May 28th, 1960 through January 2nd, 1977. The beloved mine train through nature's wonderland included several points of interest inspired by Disney's True Life Adventures documentary films, including Beaver Valley, Bear Country, and the Living Desert. These areas were home to 204 lifelike animatronic critters for guests to spot while taking their leisurely mine train ride. Cascade Peak. May 28, 1960 until the fall of 1998. When riding the main mine train through nature's wonderland, passengers could admire Frontierland's first mountain, Cascade Peak. Located next to the rivers of America, across from Tom Sawyer's Island, it boasted a series of stunning waterfalls. At 75 feet tall, this location made the mountain a scenic addition for those taking a canoe ride in the churning river below. All right, let's head over to Big Thunder Mountain. Opened on September 2nd, 1979. Today, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad is known as the wildest ride in the wilderness. The cursed mine train speeds through canyons and past hoodoos inspired by Utah's Bryce Canyon. Riders encounter howling coyotes, spinning opossums, dinosaur bones, and a goat gnawing on a stick of dynamite. Hold on, it's gonna blow! A spiritual sequel to Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland, the Rainbow Ridge Western Town is a story remnant from its predecessor. Let's head over to the rivers of America and the Living Desert. On opening day, the Mark Twain riverboat navigated the rivers of America. Still, the island in the middle remained empty. Several ideas were posed for its use, including Mickey Mouse Island, Treasure Island, and an island of miniatures. Ultimately, Tom Sawyer Island was chosen as the final concept. Out in the distance, the vast expanse of Frontierland with its living desert looked undryly. Let's head down the river on the good old Mark Twain riverboat. Opened July 17th, 1955. During the day, the steam-powered Mark Twain paddle wheeler takes passengers on trips around the rivers of America, allowing them to view wildlife and a Native American village. However, when the sun sets, the boat transforms into a key element of the phantasmic finale as it carries beloved Disney characters in celebration of Mickey's heroic victory. Let's go to an extinct attraction that's now at Disney World. It is the Country Bear Jamboree. March 4th, 1972 until September 9th, 2001. The star of the Country Bear Jamboree became world famous for their heartfelt melodies that capture the essence of Americana. Among the performers were the Five Bear Rugs, Teddy Bear, Liver Lips McGraw, Trixie, and of course, Big Al. These talented stage bears also starred in a Christmas special and a Vacation Hoedown over the years. Let's take a look at its newest resident. That is The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Opened April 11th, 2003. Experience the magic of the 100-acre wood while riding aboard your vehicle, a giant honeypot, on a very blustery day. The attraction showcases some of the most memorable moments featuring Winnie the Pooh and his friends Tigger, Eeyore, Kanga, Roo, and more. Just be careful of heffalumps and woozles. All right, we're heading into the latest land, Black Spire Outpost, Batuu. Opened May 31st, 2019. The adventures of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge take place at Black Spire Outpost on the planet Batuu. The isolated community, located near the borders of the unknown regions in wild space, is home to Oga's Cantina, Doc Ondar's Den of Antiquities, and a hidden resistance base. Though recently, it has been occupied by Kylo Ren and the First Order. Let's head on to our first attraction. That's Millennium Falcon, Smuggler's Run. Opened May 31st, 2019. The ship that made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs, the Millennium Falcon, may not look like much from the outside, but it has it where it counts. On loan by Chewbacca, it is currently docked on Batuu under the supervision of private businessman Hondo Ohnaka of Ohnaka Transport Solutions, who is looking for recruits to handle smuggling work. Let's go to our next attraction in Batuu, Star Wars: Rise of the Resistance. Opening January 17th, 2020. Hidden on the outskirts of Black Spire Outpost is a Resistance base. Resistance fighter Rey appears via holographic transmission to deliver an important secret mission, which is thwarted when the First Order intercepts the transport. Narrowly escaping stormtrooper interrogation and a direct encounter with Kylo Ren, hope returns when Finn encourages an epic return to Batuu through an available escape pod. Let's head to Toontown, starting with the Toontown 5 and Dime and the Gag Factory. January 24th, 1993 through March 9th, 2022. When Mickey's Toontown opened to visitors, their premier retail establishment was the 5 and Dime, conveniently located near the Gag Factory. From snacks to mouse ears, the 5 and Dime had it all. Inside the Gag Factory next door, shoppers could be seen some toontastic creations being made by the Gag-O-Matic. Don't let the prices of whoopee cushions blow you away. And that was replaced, of course, by the El Capitan Theater for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. This opened on January 27th, 2023. The finest and only cinema in Mickey's Toontown is the El Capitan Theater. It's currently hosting the premiere of the new film, Perfect Picnic, starring Toontown's very own Mickey and Minnie. Throughout the theater's foyer, the Toontown's Historical Society has organized a retrospective about the film's star, featuring costumes and props from his iconic shorts titled Mickey Through the Ears. On the ride, Nothing Can Stop Us Now. After blasting a hole in the silver screen, Goofy invites the audience into the animated world of Perfect Picnic to take a ride on his train. What could go wrong this time? Everything goes off the rails when a track switch is thrown, sending guests on a thrilling adventure alongside Mickey and Minnie. Riders are whisked around the world before returning for a moonlit picnic at dusk. We'll head right around the corner to It's a Small World. Opened May 28th, 1966. First debuting at the 1964 New York World's Fair, It's a Small World later premiered at Disneyland with its hundreds of audio animatronic children singing the Sherman Brothers' heartfelt song in languages spoken around the world. The classic celebrates global unity with an iconic facade and timeless charm that still endure today. Heading deeper into Fantasyland, we have the Storybook Land Canal Boats. Opening July 17th, 1955. When the canal boats of the world opened in 1955, there wasn't much to see along the waterways. In fact, the Imagineers famously placed plaques with Latin names next to the weeds growing around the attraction. The following year, after a fairy tale transformation, the Storybook Land canal boats opened, featuring miniatures from Disney's animated tales. The Storybook Land Lighthouse Ticket Booth. Operating from July 17, 1955 until 1982. Unlike today's park hoppers and annual passes, Disneyland visitors originally needed individual tickets to access each attraction. Guests could purchase them at various locations throughout the park. One notable ticket booth, a whimsical lighthouse, was located outside Storybook Land. It still stands today as a Fantasyland icon. And then right next door, let's hop on a flying elephant with Dumbo Flying Elephants. Opened August 16th, 1955. Look up and you'll see an elephant fly. Ringleader Timothy Q. Mouse guided his 10 choreographed circus elephants, then with flapping ears. as they flew up and down in a perfect circle. In the iconic ride's original iteration, there were no fountains or water featured directly below, though its heights gave spectacular views of the pirate ship restaurant. And let's look at Dumbo today. Reopened on May 25th, 1983. To this day, Dumbo the Flying Elephant lets riders soar high above Fantasyland on an airborne adventure. The 16 colorful elephants are set against a whimsical toymaker style, with bronze-toothed gears and a trope of accompanying storks, all led in unison by Timothy Q. Mouse. While the attraction has been delighting guests since Disneyland's first year, the Gaviolian C-band organ, located under the circus tent, was actually built in 1915. All right, it's off to Neverland. One of the most memorable scenes in Peter Pan's flight, an opening day original from July 17, 1955, is the pixie dust-powered journey over London. Generations of guests have experienced the iconic moment when Peter and the Darling children fly out of their nursery window throughout the nighttime sky. Below, glittering city lights benefit today from added modern special effects. The Mermaid Lagoon. All of the rail-suspended pirate galleons sail over Neverland. Guests confront the nefarious Captain Hook, a bumbling Mr. Smee, Tiger Lily and her tribe, and a very hungry and ticking crocodile. Since 1983's enhancement, the enchanting Mermaid Lagoon lies below the Jolly Roger. The original 1955 iteration of the ride didn't even include Peter Pan or the Darling children. Guests experience the story from their first-person perspective. One of the ones we miss, right? The Fantasyland Skyway Station. From June 23rd, 1956 through November 9th, 1994. Nestled in a quiet corner of Fantasyland, atop a verdant hilltop, the Skyway Station servicing Fantasyland was designed to resemble a Swiss chalet. At the other end of the route, guests could board a gondola at the futuristic Tomorrowland Skyway Station for a feet-saving one-way trip across the park, allowing them to take the sights and sounds from below. The Skyway Buckets. Disneyland Skyway provided guests with a bird's-eye view of the park as they rode between Fantasyland and Tomorrowland. During the journey, the gondolas would pass through a tunnel located near the top of the Matterhorn. Hidden in the icy caverns was an elusive monster lurking in the shadows. So let's head over to the Matterhorn. Opened June 14th, 1959. After ascending the snowy peak of the Matterhorn on one of two runs, bobsledders raced down one of two paths, weaving and dodging through icy caverns while avoiding the legendary abominable snowman. The thrilling bobsled run concludes with a splashdown and a reminder to remain seated, please. Permanencer sentados, por favor. Something lurks inside the mountain. The abominable snowman has amassed an impressive collection inside the Matterhorn's icy caverns. The hoard includes old ride vehicles and artifacts from the Mountaineering Wells expedition, named for Frank Wells, who served as the president and COO of the Walt Disney Company for a decade and was also an accomplished mountain climber. The Abominable Snowman. Debuted May 27, 1978. Nearly 2 decades after the attraction opened, something big got inside the Matterhorn. In 1978, the mythical Abominable Snowman made his first appearance to bobsledders inside a glowing ice crystal cave. His roar echoed through the caverns, and his eyes glowed red as screaming bobsleds zipped by. The Abominable Snowman. Debuted May 26, 2015. The Abominable Snowman received a big makeover for Disneyland's 60th anniversary. Imagineers added all-new auto-animatronic figures along the ride's snowy trails. He received a more aggressive look and demeanor, as well as his own lair filled with the wreckage of previous Matterhorn exhibitions. All right, let's head back down to Fantasyland for a Mad Tea Party. Opening July 17th, 1955. The original Mad Tea Party attraction was located in the center of Fantasyland, amidst the swirl of circus tents and open space. Its kinetic energy can be experienced from various vantage points in the land, including the Casey Jr. Circus Train, as well as from above the Skyway vehicles. Let's take a look at the Mad Tea Party today. Reopened May 25th, 1983. Take a spin in a colorful teacup underneath twinkling lanterns nestled amongst the greenery next to Alice in Wonderland attraction. It's nearly a hidden treasure among the shady trees and hedges surrounding it, but its cheerful music soundtrack can be heard as guests approach. Let's go have a very merry birthday with Alice. Opened June 14th, 1958. Alice finds herself unexpectedly celebrating her unbirthday at a Mad Tea Party with the Mad Hatter and March Hare. This charming attraction is unique to Disneyland Park in Anaheim and features a track that travels both inside and outside the building. Recent additions include digital projections. Let's head over to Tomorrowland, where there's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. From July 17th, 1955, until September 5th, 1966. Opening day in Tomorrowland left a little to be desired for the future. Many of its experiences were not ready for liftoff. Rocket to the Moon opened less than a week later, soon to be joined in August by the Flight Circle's model airplane demonstrations. Major additions followed in the early years, namely the Astrojets and Skyway buckets in 1956, the House of the Future in 1957, and of course a submarine voyage in 1959. Imagination and Beyond. Opening May 22nd, 1998. The eternal optimism of Tomorrowland is also its greatest theming challenge. We eventually catch up with what's forecast as our future. The first iteration in 1955 was set in the year 1986 and predicted landing on the moon and highway automotive culture. After 1967's World on the Move theme New Tomorrowland, a new future was needed again, and a last major enhancement offered are rocket rods, Honey, I Shrunk the Audience, Red Rocket's Pizza Port, and the Astro Orbiter in 1998. All right, let's head over to Space Mountain in the corner of Tomorrowland. Opening May 27th, 1977. 2 years after the opening of its predecessor at Walt Disney World, Disneyland Space Mountain took flight in 1977. The iconic beams on the exterior roof of the structure were not only added for their futuristic appearance, but also to create a smooth projection surface inside the building. Let's take a look at Space Mountain today. Or then, 1997 to 2003. For a brief period as part of New Tomorrowland, the exterior of Space Mountain was painted in a retro-futuristic color scheme that included tones of bronze, gold, and brown. However, it was later repainted in its traditional white color during a major 2-year refurbishment culminating in 2005, which also involved replacing the entire track. Space Mountain. Reopening July 15th, 2005. Space Mountain has established itself as Disneyland's premier thrill ride among fans. It has also been used to tell a variety of new stories with updates to effects over the years and various temporary overlays, including Rocking Space Mountain, which incorporates rock music, Ghost Galaxy for Halloween, and the Star Wars-inspired adventure Hyperspace Mountain. Right next door, towards the entrance of Tomorrowland, The Adventure Through Inner Space. From August 15th, 1967, through September 2nd, 1985. Before Doom Buggies roamed the Haunted Mansion, Atom-mobiles were the park's first attraction to showcase the Omni-Mover ride system, a patented technology that enables a full track of connected vehicles to move in tandem. Adventure through inner space guided passengers along a micro-journey shrunk down by the mighty microscope to embark on a trip inside a snowflake. Now, turned into Star Tours. Star Tours, January 9th, 1987 through July 26, 2010. The Star Tours travel agency, with its fleet of white and blue Star Speeder 3000 ships, offered a convenient new service to Endor, piloted by its RX series droids. The first flight goes awry when an inexperienced pilot, RX-24, loses control and the passenger craft takes a bumpy detour through a maintenance bay, passing the Endor moon and ending up in a dogfight battle with the Empire. Star Tours, The Adventures Continue. Opening May 20th, 2011. Star Tours, The Adventure Continues features galactic adventures aboard a sleek Red Star Speeder 1000, piloted by the unwitting protocol droid C-3PO. Each trip on Flight 1401 offers a variety of itineraries to fan-favorite destinations, with one unknown passenger on the unpredictable flight revealed to be a rebel spy. It's time to go to another old attraction, Rocket to the Moon. July 22nd, 1955 until September 5th, 1966. Before American astronauts landed on the moon in 1969, Disneyland guests had the opportunity to take their own trip on the almost opening day attraction, Rocket to the Moon, renamed in 1967 to coincide with New Tomorrowland. One of the characters guests met at Mission Control was the first Mr. Tom Morrow. After our lunar dreams became a reality, the attraction was succeeded by Mission to Mars, setting an ambitious new goal for humankind. We've got Red Rocket's Pizza Port. May 22nd, 1998 through April 13th, 2018. When pilot Red Rocket was confronted with a dire situation regarding the dearth of quality food available to scientists and tourists on space stations, the ever-enterprising entrepreneur capitalized on the opportunity. His solution? A chain of pizza ports around the galaxy. The Earth-based outpost became a fan favorite for all citizens of Tomorrowland. Now, a good slice is just a short blast away. Alien Pizza Planet. Opened April 13th, 2018. Inspired by Pixar's Toy Story films, Alien Pizza Planet serves up Italian cuisine to hungry space travelers visiting from planets all over the Marinara Way galaxy, including Mozar 114, Pepperonia, Olio V, and Bacon. Outside the main entrance is a large rocket bearing the iconic Pizza Planet name, a scale replica of Tomorrowland's original moonliner that sat outside Rocket to the Moon in the same spot. All right. The moonliner and the Astrojets. Opened March 24th, 1956. Tomorrowland's original rockets, the moonliner, then the tallest structure in the park, and the Astrojets are two of the land's most famous enduring icons. Guests visiting Tomorrowland in the early days could also enjoy other attractions like the Phantom Boats and Space Station X-1, and experience edutainment in the Hall of Chemistry, the Aluminum Hall of Fame, and of course, the House of the Future. These definitely should have a close date because they don't exist anymore. The Rocket Jets. Here we go. July 2nd, 1967 through January 6th, 1997. The Astrojets were Tomorrowland's first spinning rocket attraction, later renamed the Tomorrowland Jets. These spaceships took off from ground level. In 1967, a new successor experience called the Rocket Jet was set high atop the People Mover station in the center of the land, allowing riders to soar 70 feet off the ground. The Observatron. Debuted May 22nd, 1998. During the reimagining into New Tomorrowland, The ride vehicles of the rocket jets were removed and the spinning system was transformed into a kinetic sculpture, swirling to music throughout the day. Satellite dishes opened and closed as the observatron sent signals to distant planets. 3 even took the form of an iconic mouse's silhouette. The Astro Orbiter, the entrance of Tomorrowland, opened May 22nd, 1998. The Astro Orbiter, much like the original Astrojets, brought the spinning rocket experience back down to ground level. Now, for the first time, welcoming visitors at the entrance of Tomorrowland. These retro-style rockets ascend and descend at their passengers' command as they fly circles amidst the gravitational pull of nearby orbiting planets. Let's head over to the Autopia. Opened July 17, 1955. Autopia, inspired by the forthcoming interstate highway system, wasn't created just for children who dreamt of getting behind the wheel. On Disneyland's opening day, some of Hollywood's biggest stars zoomed around its roadways, showcasing that everyone could enjoy driving the miniature cars. Walt Disney even had his own personal Autopia vehicle. Kinetic energy, monorail over the submarine lagoon. In 1959, Disneyland debuted 3 brand new attractions in what many would consider its second grand opening. Tomorrowland received 2 of these new experiences, including the Disneyland Monorail and the Submarine Voyage. Both attractions were always on the move, providing continuous motion and energy above the land. The Submarine Voyage. From June 14, 1959 to September 8, 1998. Disneyland's fleet of subs took guests on a whimsical recreation of the journey of the USS Nautilus, the real first like of the nuclear-powered submarine and first ship to cross the geographic North Pole. Disneyland's Submarine Voyage, however, included a visit to Atlantis, mermaids, a giant, squid, and, of course, a sea serpent. And of course, that became what we know today, the Finding Nemo Submarine Voyage. Reopening June 11, 2007. Passengers aboard bright yellow submarines dive into the ocean to help find everyone's favorite clownfish, Nemo. The Nautical Exploration and Marine Observation Fleet is equipped with sonar hydrophones that allow passengers to listen in on the conversations and hijinks of marine life. Up above, a seagull flock squawks mine to claim everything in sight. But remember, fish are friends, not food. All right, to the Carousel of Progress. From July 2nd, 1967 to September 9th, 1973. For the 1964 New York World's Fair, the Imagineers came up with a revolutionary new type of show, a theater that physically rotated around 4 acts starring an audio animatronic cast. The Carousel of Progress took guests through the evolution of the American household and how advancements in electricity and technology played a key role. It was later moved to Walt Disney World in 1975, where it continues to delight today. And then that was replaced by America Sings. From June 29th, 1974 through April 10th, 1988. Just in time for the United States bicentennial, the Carousel Theater was once again on the move, showcasing a patriotic new production. The humorous revue paid tribute to the musical heritage of the United States throughout its 200-year history, starring a quirky cast of creatures. After the show wrapped, many of the figures were repurposed for new attractions like Splash Mountain and Star Tours. All right, that became Innoventions. November 10th, 1998 till March 31st, 2015. After decades of stage productions, the Carousel Theater became the home of Innoventions, the portmanteau of innovation and invention, or innovation and invention. As part of the new Tomorrowland reimagining, the 2-story pavilion, hosted by Tom Morrow, a robot in a clear lab coat who served Tomorrowland as its mayor, showcased real-life, near-future tech in the home, health, and leisure spaces. Neon Astronaut Mickey, 1987. For decades, a tumbling neon astronaut version of Mickey Mouse has been glowing above the entrance of Star Traders in Tomorrowland, celebrating the spirit of space exploration. Within its distinctive design, reminiscent of animating character movement, this neon icon has become a celebrated piece of illuminated electric art among Disneyland fans. And of course, what everyone wants to come back, the People Mover. From July 2nd, 1967 through August 21st, 1995. Walt Disney was always intrigued by the concept of the transportation as an attraction. One of the best examples of this idea was the beloved People Mover in Tomorrowland. Gliding along elevated tracks atop space-age architecture, the People Mover offered guests a unique tour of the area while providing a relaxing respite from walking. And of course, that was replaced by the short-lived Rocket Rods. May 22nd, 1998 through April 27th, 2001. When the People Mover took its final lap, after almost 3 decades, the tracks were soon repurposed for a high-speed attraction promoting the Rocket Rod XPR, Experimental Prototype Rocket. These futuristic 5-passenger vehicles would pop a wheelie and zoom guests away from the heart of Tomorrowland, traveling along nearly a mile of winding scenic aerial roadway. Heading over to New Orleans Square with Pirates of the Caribbean. Opened March 18th, 1967. The original concept for Pirates of the Caribbean was a walk-through wax museum experience. However, following the New York World's Fair, which saw the development of the boats from It's a Small World and audio animatronic technology used in Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, the attraction evolved into what we know and love today. Still at Pirates? Now, through the essence of the classic has remained constant, Pirates of the Caribbean has seen several swashbuckling changes over the years. Following the success of the films inspired by the attraction, Imagineers incorporated animatronics of the characters Jack Sparrow and Captain Barbossa, and new characters like Red and a face-changing skeleton robber have more recently taken up piracy on the high seas. Piles of treasure. The legends be true. The Pirates of the Caribbean have accumulated quite an impressive cache of gold and treasure during their adventures of pillaging. Hidden within the caverns are mounds of gold, trinkets, weapons, jewelry, and the actual cursed Aztec gold prop seen in Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. Dead men tell no tales. As they cruise through the caverns, they come across an opening that reveals an intense storm with gale-force winds and sheets of rain. When lightning strikes, a skeletal helmsman is briefly illuminated. This scene served as a significant inspiration for the visual effects iconic to the film's adaptation and its cursed characters. Pillaging and plundering. Scallywags sing, steal, and sway as the buildings around them burst into flames. Legend has it, when the special effects for the flames first premiered, it was so convincing that writers believed the fire was real. In reality, it was just the lights and mylar, later replaced by a shiny white satin cloth. Perhaps the real treasure was the power of imagination all along. Come on. Have a nice juicy bone, eh? While these 3 bilge rats imploring a dog to deliver their freedom may seem like ruthless criminals, most deserving of a stay in the big, their appearances were actually inspired by people who were quite the opposite of the pirates they portray. Imagineer Blaine Gibson drew inspiration from other Disney cast members and people he knew. How flattering. And of course, we've got the Blue Bayou, which is built into Pirates of the Caribbean. That opened March 18th, 1967. One of the most unique dining experiences at Disneyland is the Blue Bayou. In this corner of New Orleans, it's always nighttime. The waterfront dinner party abuts the calmer waters of Pirates of the Caribbean attraction, which immersive ambiance is complemented by crickets chirping, frogs croaking, and fireflies twinkling in the dark. And of course, my favorite attraction, the Haunted Mansion. Opening August 12th, 1969. The Haunted Mansion, with a much-anticipated addition with construction, was completed in 1963, years before it housed an attraction. Filled with 999 ghosts, the home welcomes visitors for tours of its delightfully unlivable spaces. Its popularity inspired a version of the attraction at Walt Disney World, Major Motion Pictures, a comic book series, and its first ever themed parlor at sea. The Mansion's Organ. The organ inside the Grand Hall of the Haunted Mansion is a repurposed set piece from the 1954 film 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Once played on screen by Captain Nemo, the instrument was restored and reimagined for the attraction with new pipes and spooky details, including a bat-shaped music stand and, of course, its ghastly maestro, Victor Geist. Well, let's head over, of course, for a swinging wake. Many people mistakenly believe that the ghosts in the ballroom are created using holograms. In reality, the Imagineers used a classic magician's technique called Pepper's Ghost to bring many of the 999 spirits to life. John Henry Pepper popularized this reflection effect in the late 1800s for theatrical productions. Well, grim, grinning ghosts come out to socialize. An upbeat rendition of the Haunted Mansion's theme play throughout the graveyard, where the mansion's ghosts mix and mingle among the tombstones. Ghosts from around the world can be seen at this outdoor party, including medieval minstrels, an Egyptian mummy, and Victorian royalty enjoying a teeter-totter. And our last card of the first set, Beware of Hitchhiking Ghosts. At the end of the tour, the ghost host warns visitors to beware of hitchhiking ghosts. However, this never stops Professor Phineas Plump, Ezra Bean, or Gus from trying to catch a ride out of the house. One of these ghosts always ends up in a doom buggy alongside the visitors as they pass a row of trick mirrors. All right, so that gives us the end of our then and now before we move into our timeline. All right, now we're going to go take a look at our timeline. Starting with Sleeping Beauty Castle construction, 1954 to 1955. Although the exact reasons and details behind the change are subject to debate and speculation, it is known that during the design process, the upper section of the Sleeping Beauty Castle model was flipped. Walt Disney approved the revised design, and it was ultimately constructed at Disneyland to be enjoyed for generations to this day. Mickey and Donald celebrate the grand opening, July 17th, 1955. Many celebrities attended the festivities for Disneyland's opening day. Among the most notable were the stars of Disney's animated films, including Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. Walt Disney insisted they needed to be a daily fixture at the park, as they truly embodied what makes Disneyland Disney. Character encounters continued to be a cherished tradition. Autopia cars zoom in the first parade, July 17th, 1955. Disneyland's first day in operation was dubbed Black Sunday by the newspapers. It was a day when everything that could go wrong seemed to. Record temperatures, a plumber's strike, and counterfeit tickets were just a few of the challenges the opening day cast members and Imagineers had to overcome. Nevertheless, the park opened to a massive success, including a nationally televised special on ABC. Lillian's Petrified Tree Gift, September 1957. Disneyland's oldest attraction is estimated to be between 55 and 70 million years old. Near the rivers of America is a petrified tree from what is now Pike Petrified Forest in Colorado. As the story goes, Walt jokingly gifted his wife this 5-ton petrified stump for their anniversary. Always planned for display at Disneyland, the inscription on the tree's plaque reads, "Presented to Disneyland by Mrs. Walt Disney." Walt plans to take the park to new heights, December 5th, 1958. The Matterhorn bobsleds opened alongside the submarine voyage and the Disneyland monorail in 1959. Walt Disney's man-made Matterhorn is 1/100th the size of the real Swiss mountain and rises only 147 feet. This two-track attraction holds the distinction of being the world's first tubular steel coaster. Its revolutionary ride system, the stage for Space Mountain, and a whole following of thrill seekers. Disneyland's 10th anniversary on TV, January 3rd, 1965. To celebrate Disneyland's 10th anniversary, a special episode of Walt Disney's Wonderful World of Color provided a preview of upcoming additions to the park. Walt Disney guided the first Disneyland ambassador, Julie Rhyme, on a tour of WED Enterprises' workshop, precursor to Walt Disney Imagineering, showcasing in-progress models and maquettes of the exciting new experiences to come. The Primeval World meets the Modern World, 1965-1966. Motorists on the California highway might have thought they were seeing things when the Primeval World diorama dinosaurs were moved to Disneyland. Some may wonder why the dinosaurs were transported on the bed of a truck. The reason is straightforward. They didn't know how to drive the truck themselves. It's a Small World debuts after the World's Fair, May 28th, 1966. After delighting visitors from around the world at the 1964 World's Fair, the sets and audio animatronic figures were carefully transported and lovingly recreated and enhanced for their new home in Fantasyland. With its joyful music celebrating world peace and understanding, It's a Small World has been a treasured part of Disneyland ever since. Walt and Mickey in Engine Number 1, Fall 1966. In 1966, Walt shared some quality time with his old pal Mickey on his last trip to Disneyland. After his passing, many considered Mickey a proxy for Walt. At the opening ceremony of the Magic Kingdom in Florida, Walt's brother Roy would not start his speech until Mickey was by his side, saying, "Mickey is the nearest thing to Walt that we have left." Developing Pirates of the Caribbean in miniature, 1966. Like with any attraction being developed today, a miniature scale model of Pirates of the Caribbean was created to assist the designers in planning the ride, to simulate the view from the guest's perspective while sitting in the boats. The Imagineers rode through the model in the studio perched on wheelchairs, so the scenes would be at eye level. A Happy Haunt materializes, June 1st, 1969. Some spirits at the Haunted Mansion have come and gone over the years. Various special effects are utilized by bringing its grim, grinning ghosts to life or death, including Pepper's ghost, audio animatronics, and projection mapping. Most famously, the Hatbox Ghost made his debut in 1969, but was removed because his effect did not work correctly. In 2015, Disney Imagineers used new technology to finally restore the character. Space Mountain Shoots for the Stars, 1976-1977. The idea of an indoor roller coaster set in space originated in the early days of Disneyland, with the first concept designed by Imagineer John Hench in the 1960s. However, due to the limitation of technology at the time, the idea was shelved. Years later, when the tech improved and was demonstrated by the Matterhorn bobsleds, the concept was dusted off and built for the Magic Kingdom Park in 1975, then Disneyland in 1977. Big Thunder hosts its first wild ride, September 2nd, 1979. The origin of Big Thunder dates back to the planning of a multi-attraction complex for Walt Disney World, Thunder Mesa, which would have featured a Pirates of the Caribbean-style boat ride about cowboys called the Western River Expedition. When that project was canceled, the concept was reimagined as Big Thunder Mountain Railroad for Disneyland. The Land That Toons Built, January 24th, 1993. Imagineers drew inspiration from the cartoon shorts of the 1930s and 1940s when developing Mickey's Toontown, themed as the animated neighborhood that Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, Donald, and more toons call home. To remain true to the original cartoons, the land features quirky architecture that avoids straight lines and 90-degree angles. The Temple of Mara opens to tourists, March 4th, 1995. Creating an authentic Indiana Jones-style adventure required a tremendous amount of work and attention to detail. It took more than 8 months to program the enhanced motion vehicles developed and patented by the Imagineers, so that guests could feel every break, bump, and moment of peril inside the cursed Temple of the Forbidden Eye. Just go easy on the curves. New Tomorrowland, May 22nd, 1998. Disneyland's Tomorrowland has undergone several major redesigns since its opening in 1955. Initially, it provided a vision of the futuristic world of 1986. New interpretations of the future were introduced in 1967 and most recently in 1998. Then themed to imagination and beyond, in the spirit of Walt Disney, the land continues to evolve because tomorrow is just a dream away. Buzz Lightyear to Star Command, March 17th, 2005. The first Pixar-themed ride in the park blasted off in 2005 as part of Disneyland's 50th anniversary celebration. Space Rangers and Galactic Heroes board a blaster-equipped XP-40 Star Cruiser through the Gamma Quadrant to take on Zurg, who's out to steal crystallic fusion cells which curiously resemble toy batteries. Details like oversized screwheads simulate being the size of a toy. And that concludes part 2, which are the timeline cards. Next, we're going to take a look at some food. All right, it is snack time here now. Each one of our snack items feature the item, and on the back, I've eaten this, as a checklist that you could do while in the park. Starting with Mickey's Premium Ice Cream Bar. Popcorn. Mickey beignets. The famous turkey leg. Can't leave Disneyland without a churro. Or how about a 70th anniversary mini caramel apple? Don't forget, Mickey waffles. Those are always great for breakfast. Pineapple soft serve, or as we most likely know it, Dole Whip. The gray stuff, it's delicious. And one of these is already extinct, but we've got blue and green milk. We've got our Ronto morning wraps, definitely one of my favorite breakfast items in the park, followed by caramel corn and kettle corn. We've got a Celebration Matterhorn macaroon, and of course, a Mickey Mouse pretzel. Followed by a good old-fashioned corn dog. Always get mine on the end of Main Street. And a seasonal Evil Queen caramel apple. Followed by a seasonal Mickey's gingerbread. And last but not least, a balloon Mickey marshmallow pop. And so that concludes all of our snacks as we move on to the fourth area. All right, the fourth category is concept art. A dream of the happiest place on earth. During what is now referred to as the Lost Weekend, Walt Disney artist Herb Ryman sequestered themselves in a room to sketch a visual representation of Walt's vision for Disneyland. The following week, Roy O. Disney used this artwork to help pitch the idea to investors. Town Square, 1954. Main Street, USA not only draws inspiration from Walt Disney's childhood hometown of Marceline, Missouri, but also reflects the hometown of other key Imagineers. The design of City Hall and the Bank Building, now the Disney Gallery, in Town Square was inspired by the town of Fort Collins, Colorado. Main Street, USA. Main Street, USA was designed to represent a slice of America from 1890 to 1910. While Disney described it on the crossroads of America, a place where gas lamps were beginning to be replaced by electric light bulbs, guests could ride in an old-fashioned trolley or a modern horseless carriage. The Carnation Cafe. The brick sidewalks of Main Street, USA are illuminated by authentic gas lamps. These lampposts were sourced from cities across the country, some as far away as Baltimore. Today, they continue to guide guests as they head to enjoy a scoop of their favorite ice cream. Shopping at the Bazaar. 1954. The shops in Adventureland are filled with unique treasures sourced from the far corners of the globe. In the early days of Disneyland, the store near the entrance to this land featured a variety of items, including Hawaiian shirts and dresses, handcrafted art, jewelry, and other bizarre treasures. The Jungle Cruise. 1954. The Jungle Cruise premiered when Disneyland opened in 1955, originally envisioned as a travelogue through the tropical rivers of the world with just a splash of humor. It has evolved over the past 7 decades into the comedy adventure that guests enjoy today, thanks in large part to the pun-loving skippers. The Haunted Mansion. Currently home to 999 ghosts, with always room for one more, the Haunted Mansion was originally envisioned as a walk-through haunted house. The idea for the attraction evolved significantly over the years of development before officially opening in 1969. The Bride. November 28th, 1961. A ghost bride has been materializing in the attic of the Haunted Mansion since its opening in August of 1969. Though her legend has changed over the years, her glowing red heart continues to send chills down the spines of unsuspecting guests, in an attic filled with mementos from her many weddings. Rowboat Ghost. November 28th, 1961. The Haunted Mansion is home to 999 happy haunts from various parts of the world, each with their own unique story from their mortal, corruptible state. While some spirits spend eternity dancing a beautiful waltz in the ballroom, others find themselves in dire situations as seen in this unused concept from the Haunted Mansion. The Mansion's Organist. November 28th, 1961. Dressed in a top hat and cloak, Victor Geist conjures up macabre melodies in the Haunted Mansion's Grand Hall. From the pipes of his towering organ, a chorus of spirits escape from the instrument with the pressing of every key as part of dancers' waltz to a chilling rendition of Grim Grinning Ghosts. Entering Isla Tesoro Jail. All the pillaging and plundering have caught up with some of the pirates, and they've been locked up. With the jail set ablaze and an escape plan is urgently needed, little do they realize that if they pay attention to the crumbling walls surrounding them, their escape might be easier than they think. How about a nice, juicy bone? 3 scallywags are trapped in a blazing brig, with freedom hanging just out of reach. Although they can see the keys to their freedom, it feels far away because a pooch is standing guard. Not even a friendly whistle or the promise of a tasty bone can persuade the dog to drop the keys. Thar Be Treasure. Pirates of the Caribbean was initially intended to be a walk-through wax museum attraction. Guests would move through various pirate vignettes. However, after the New York World's Fair, the plan evolved to include the development of audio animatronic figures and a flat-bottom boat ride system. Singing Pirates. Pirates of the Caribbean features many iconic scenes, including the trio of scallywags and their canine companions serenading guests with their classic shanty, Yo-ho, a pirate's life for me, though the townfolk and even their fellow pirates may not appreciate their musical contributions. Frontierland, Ariel. 1954. When Disneyland opened in 1955, Frontierland was one of the most highly anticipated lands. The excitement largely stemmed from the Davy Crockett craze, which began when Walt Disney introduced films about the American legend on the Disneyland television show leading up to the park's grand opening. The Mark Twain Riverboat. Just days before Disneyland's official opening, Walt and Lillian Disney celebrated their 30th wedding anniversary with friends and family aboard the Mark Twain Riverboat for its maiden voyage around the rivers of America. The night ended with dinner and dancing in the nearby Golden Horseshoe Saloon. Let's head over to Tomorrowland for the Uranium Hunt. 1955-1956. Not all ideas make it off the drawing board and into the park. One such concept was Uranium Hunt, an attraction envisioned for Tomorrowland. In this experience, guests would use Geiger counters to search for real uranium embedded in the rockwork and receive a small piece of uranium to take home. Sleeping Beauty Castle. 1954. Walt always envisioned a castle at the entrance to Fantasyland. Sleeping Beauty Castle opened in 1955, 4 years before the release of the film. An interior walkthrough attraction within the castle opened in 1957, providing guests with a preview of the soon-to-be-released animated film. Matterhorn Mountain. During a visit to Switzerland, Walt Disney found an inspiring solution for concealing a Skyway support pylon. Upon returning home, he tasked his Imagineers with transforming Holiday Hill into a stunning 2-scale Matterhorn, bringing Swiss adventure to Anaheim. Fantasyland, Duck Bumps. 1954. The minds of Disney Imagineers never rest, as they are always dreaming of the next new attraction, as wild as they may seem. In 1960, they envisioned a new bumper boat attraction for Fantasyland, starring Donald Duck. Donald's pond would sit next to a Ferris wheel inspired by the old mill. Riding the Jolly Roger. 1954. Peter Pan's flight has allowed guests to soar high above the London skyline and pirate galleons since Disneyland opened in 1955. However, before the attraction's official debut, the ships took test flights around a track set up at Walt Disney Studios, while their permanent home was still under construction. King Arthur Carousel. 1954. As part of Fantasyland, Walt Disney purchased a vintage carousel from a small park in Toronto, Canada. This was just one problem. He wanted to be made up entirely of galloping horses. To achieve this, the Imagineers sourced horses from various carousels around the country. Snow White's Adventures with Dopey. All the ride vehicles in Fantasyland were custom built for the attractions. This gave the Imagineers the freedom to experiment with their creative concepts. For Snow White's Adventure, they tinkered with the idea of having the dwarfs ride along with guests as they experience the attraction. Casey Jr. Circus Train. All aboard! Let's go! Sometimes the train doesn't run on time. The Casey Jr. Circus Train debuted on July 31st, 1955, 2 weeks after the park's grand opening. Since then, it has delighted guests of all ages with a charming trip around Storybook Land along the tracks above the miniature canal. Monstro, the Whale. Before becoming the gateway to Storybookland canal boats, Monster of the Whale was initially envisioned as a splashdown water attraction in Fantasyland. Boats would enter a cave before heading into the belly of the beast. In an exciting finale, Monster would sneeze out the guests through his mouth and down his tongue. Dumbo, the Flying Elephants. Before Dumbo took flight in 1955, Imagineers were inspired by the film's Pink Elephants on Parade sequence. They later decided to give the elephants a more traditional color scheme. In 2005, one of the elephants was gifted to the Smithsonian Institution in celebration of Disneyland's 50th anniversary. Mad Tea Party. Would that be one spin or two? The Mad Tea Party was the first attraction at Disneyland based on the popular animated film Alice in Wonderland from 1951. In early concept art, it wasn't just teacups that were spinning. A vase, a teapot, a sugar bowl, and a creamer were also on the table. The Land That Toons Built, 1993. According to legend, Mickey's Toontown existed long before Disneyland. It is said that when Walt Disney was searching for a location to build his new park, Mickey suggested the land just outside of Toontown. This town remained a closely guarded secret until the Toons opened the gates to visitors in 1993. A Vista into a World of Wondrous Ideas, 1954. Walt Disney believed that if you were going to showcase a jungle, the Old West, a fairy tale castle, and a small-town America to Disneyland guests, you also needed to present them with a vision of the future. As an optimist, he aimed to convey the promise of tomorrow through a living blueprint of the future. Highway of the Future. Since 1955, Autopia has given young drivers the opportunity to experience the commuting dreams by allowing them to take the wheel. When the attraction first opened, it did not have guardrails for the cars, but did feature specifically designed highway patrol cars patrolling the freeway of the future. The People Mover and Spaceport and Rocket Flight, 1965. Tomorrowland embraces the philosophy of a world on the move, with its architecture, vehicles, and art working together to create kinetic energy. The then proposed People Mover would notably contribute to the land's visual identity through its constant movement. What became Space Mountain originally carried a different name on promotional maps, drumming up excitement for what the future the park had. Space Mountain. In the early days of Disneyland, Walt Disney dreamed of building a spaceport and rocket flight type of attraction. The original Space Mountain would not open until 1975 at Magic Kingdom Park at Walt Disney World, with its Disneyland counterpart arriving in 1977 with over 35 feet of track. 3,500 feet of track. And the last card of the 150 card base set, Magic from the Sky, 1954. This painted map was the public's first glimpse of Disneyland. It was created using an old studio storyboard filled with pushpin holes. While it is impressive, it holds a touch of extra magic. Under black light, the painting transforms into a glowing nighttime spectacle. And that is it, folks. That completes our 150 base card journey around Disneyland. Now, we have lots of inserts, lots of parallels to find, but I hope you've enjoyed our trip around Disneyland through concept art, through snacks, through a timeline, and through then and now, and of course, back under the bridge, where we leave today and enter the world of yesterday, tomorrow, and fantasy. Again, stay tuned with us on our journey as we continue to complete the set. And as always, the packs where dreams come true.